doing a live via Zoom. So just completely putting myself out there.
Demonstrating, Bianca, demonstrating how to tune into your truth while stressed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for those of you who are watching this and who don't know me, I'm Bianca, founder of My Woman Tribe. And My Woman Tribe is a community of women who are dedicated and understand the importance of their personal growth along their journey of being a woman entrepreneur. And today I've got Eilat, who is joining us. Eilat is going to be our guest speaker next week, which I'm really excited about. And for those of you, if you were at Eilat's last talk, just say hi. And just for the others who weren't there, just tell us how incredible it was and how inspiring it was, and yeah, how lovely it was. So I'm so happy to be having Eilat back again to be our guest speaker for our upcoming event. Let's just say a little bit more about you, Eilat. You are a follow your truth catalyst, clinical psychologist, a hypnotherapist, a best-selling author of this book, If You Loved Yourself, What Would You Do Now? Which is such a lovely book. An international speaker and energy healing teacher. I feel like we could just stop there. And I just want to share with maybe everyone why I've chosen this topic. It's something that I've noticed coming up for myself quite a lot, and with a lot of other women that I'm talking to. And that is I think generally as women, we struggle to prioritize ourselves. But I think particularly during what's been going on now, I think there's a lot more stress and a lot more underlying stress that I think we're actually not even fully aware of. And I find myself and a lot of women not prioritizing ourselves at the moment. And so for me personally, I quite miss that 3-week lockdown where we didn't have to do anything. There were no kids lifts. There was no school. Well, there was a bit of online school, but it was, for me, the most peaceful time that I've had in a long time. And I felt like I could prioritize myself. Actually, there was more space to do that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like now we've sort of come back to some sense of normal life. For me, my kids are still at home. So there's a lot of making sure that they're okay and the work's okay. And I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of catching up with work and a lot of money, a lot of stress with money. And I'm seeing all around women not prioritizing themselves and us losing connection with ourselves, and which then brings on more stress. And I feel that for myself. So that is why I've chosen this topic, and why also I've chosen you to talk to this, because so much of what you do is around connecting with ourselves. And when we forget to do that, that's when the stress comes. So how do we, you can talk to it, kind of how do we remember to do that? Even though, you know, someone like me, for example, I know I must do it. I know the things, yet I forget. Or I actually go, I know, but that's more important. That's what I tend to do. Yeah, so we can just speak to that.
Yeah, it's so amazing, because when I'm listening to you and I'm hearing the echoes of so many other people who are experiencing similar stuff. A lot of people found lockdown restful, and then there were a lot of other people who found it enormously stressful because the kids were home, or they were trying to figure out how to do work from home. But it's amazing, because during that period of time, what you're describing is sort of a lifting of expectations. And that's quite calming for a lot of people, especially women, but a lot of people who we live with this feeling of, we should do this, we're expected to do that, we have to show up like this, we have to be good parents, we have to be part of the school community. We have to be a good mother. We have to be a partner. We have to, entrepreneurs have a whole added burden on top of that, because you have to succeed, and you have to market, and you have to know what you're doing. And so during this period of time where there was sort of a lifting of expectations, and a lifting of expectations to have to socialize, a lot of introverts found that massively relieving. What I'm seeing is that it's actually helped a lot of people tune into themselves more and give themselves a lot of more permission than ever before to think, well, what works for me? How much do I want to come back out in the world? What activities was I doing before that I actually don't want to resume anymore? So that it has opened space to sort of unhook from the mainstream expectations of this is how a person is supposed to be. And because of COVID, and because there's so much unknown, which is freaking a lot of people out, but the bright side to this unknown is that it's giving us a lot more space to ask ourselves, what do I want to do? What suits me? What suits my family? What suits my business? And let me do that. So that word permission is such an important one in answering your question, because I think that a big core issue is that a lot of people do not give themselves permission to listen to their own truth first. When I do my courses, I say I'm going to be teaching you how to listen to your own input, your own truth above all else. And that's quite a radical concept. And what we often misunderstand is that our self-care, or listening to our intuition, is a luxury. It's an added item. It's the bubble bath. It's the affirmations. It's the taking yourself away for a weekend. What we completely misunderstand is that it is the axis. It's the crux. It's the first thing. Because it's like going on a road trip without having a map, but you actually want to get somewhere specific, but you decide, you know what, everything else is less important. Let me make sure the kids are fine and the work is fine and everything else, and I'm in the driver's seat and I have to get us there, but I didn't bring a map. I didn't pause and say, where is it that I want to go? How do I want to drive there? Which route do I want to take? So it's quite amazing, because the moment that we turn away from listening to what we need in that moment is the moment we hand our power over to something outside of us to decide for us how this is going to go, what the outcome is going to be, how it's going to feel. And that is a direct cause of stress. So when we're feeling stressed, we're actually in a threat mode. We're feeling frightened, we're feeling threatened in some way. And the only reason we feel in danger is because we think that something could cause us harm. Now, if we are in charge of what's happening and we are listening to what we need, we are far less in danger of anything throwing us off course or causing us harm or taking away something that we want or blocking us from getting something we want. But when we don't listen, when we don't tune in, our body actually has a physiological reaction to that. Our autonomic system goes into high drive because it's sensing danger. It's like, oh, I'm in a car and there's no driver. So to understand that you are the driver of your car is vital. It's not an added bonus. It's not a lovely thing to be able to do. If I have time, I'll listen to my truth and I'll meditate and I'll look after myself. It's the first thing, because everything else follows on from that. You asked us in our conversation beforehand how I got to this and what made me so passionate about helping people listen to their truth and tune into what they know is right for them, and loving themselves by doing it. And the very, very short part of the story, and I'll share more in the talk that I give and in the conversation that we have later, but the very short version is that I grew up watching my mother not do it. And it led us down all sorts of unhappy paths in our lives as children, her as a partner, her in her life as an entrepreneur herself. It just, I watched the damage that it does, and I watched the unsafety that it creates for children, for yourself, for a partner. I watched how she couldn't direct her life in the way that she wanted to. And so, with my clients now over the years, watching anytime any of us don't choose our truth, it causes problems. It messes up relationships. You land up doing things you regret. So I'll say more, I'll explain the details of that more when I meet with everybody, but that's the short version of why I'm so passionate about this. I feel like in the end, it's going to be world peace that is created if each one of us listens to our truth. So I'm really excited for our talk, and I would very much like to encourage people to join, because we're going to be doing actual activities. I'm going to be teaching you specific methods for how to pause in the moment of stress, how to pause in that moment where you're like, I don't know, and I don't have time, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know which thing to decide on now. I'm going to talk you through how to pause in those moments, how to learn to navigate those difficult situations, and we'll do actual exercises. We want all of you to walk out of there feeling like you had 2 hours of empowerment, like you know now that this is not an added extra. You know that you're the driver, and you know how to drive in a way that you feel safe with and you feel good about, so you can look back on the choices you've made during this period of time and for the rest of your life and say, I'm pleased with my choice, I'm proud of me, I feel good about it, I feel empowered, I feel like I'm living the life that I was longing to live. So that's our intention for our workshop. I'm calling it a workshop.
Sure.
I feel like we'll do so much work.
I just want to add to what you said about coming from your mom, interestingly, and because it's an experience that I resonate with as well. And my sense is that the older generation really was not about oneself and was all about putting others' needs first. And I feel like our generation is sort of starting to understand the importance of putting ourselves first, yet we're still carrying some of the guilt of doing that and of it not being okay. And what does that say about ourselves? And what kind of a parent are we? And what kind of a person are we? And then using the word selfish, which is such a taboo word to use kind of as a parent, and I think particularly as a woman. Yeah, and so that's why I love what you're doing, because I agree that so much of what is around us is around people not taking time to really value their truth and listen to that voice that is inside them, and not from all these external outputs that we're getting all the time and the pressures of society.
The external outputs are often brilliant. They're often excellent. There's often wonderful advice coming our way, and we feel like we're being subversive or nonconformist, or we're being naughty girls if we don't listen and follow what people think we should do. And yet, that advice is not coming from within us, and therefore is not necessarily going to fit. And then we set ourselves up for failure in the most sad and painful ways. And then we put ourselves down, because then we failed that thing that wasn't even ours to begin with. We didn't get that right. So then we feel like we're bad, we're pathetic, we didn't get that right. I can't do anything. This is pathetic. I don't know why I'm even trying to do this. See, I can't get this right. But it was never yours to begin with. I don't know where I read it, is you're always going to be second best at being someone else. You can only be first best at being yourself. That's the only role that's available for you to be first best at. So be that. yeah, I don't see it as a luxury. I see it as an absolute necessity. And it is the way that any of us are going to get to whatever it is we're wanting to get to. And the beautiful thing is that it's really simple to do. You know, sometimes it feels so overwhelming. People say, oh, listen, you tune into your truth and follow that. But it feels sort of out there for other people. But it's a very practical thing. You know my work. I teach it in a very practical way. Do this, then do this, and this is how you know what your answer is. So very, very practical. People are going to walk out of this feeling like they know how to do this and confident to try it.
Cool. Yeah. I'm so excited. I feel like we could, I would like, yeah.
I know, I want to carry on now. We've already started. We're like, let's go. We'll just have to leave this as a teaser and hope that people join, because we will get to do more of this on next Monday evening.
Definitely. It's next Monday evening. Yeah. So next Monday evening at 7 p.m. We hope that load shedding will not be happening then at all. And yeah, I'll post the link in where people can book. And yeah, like always, I love what you've created, and I love the way you hold and talk, and so I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you too.
Thank you for being here
today. I look forward to seeing all of you, meeting you all.
7 p.m. Central African time, and it's how to connect to ourselves during times of stress, which is certainly something I'm looking forward to being able to do more of.
Great.
We will see you then.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm